Have you noticed how sleep seems to shift as we grow older? Years ago, you might have been able to close your eyes and drift into a steady 8 hours without even thinking about it. But now, once you're past 70, you may find yourself staring at the ceiling in the middle of the night or waking up at 4 a.m., not feeling rested, just wide awake. These sleepless nights are more than just a nuisance. They can quietly wear down your health. Poor rest after 70 has been tied to heart disease, memory decline, and even a shorter lifespan. That's why understanding the real truth about sleep in later years is crucial. In this lesson, we'll look at how sleep changes with age, which shifts are perfectly normal, and which habits may be secretly making things worse. You'll also learn how many hours of rest seniors truly need after 70 to live longer, stronger, and healthier lives. By the end, you may walk away with practical tips you'll wish you had discovered years earlier. And before we begin, I'd really appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe, and leave a comment. Drop the number 1 if you agree, or 0 if you'd like me to improve. Take Thomas, for example. At 76, he always saw himself as a tough man. The faint stains of grease still marked his hands from his decades in auto repair, stubborn reminders that never washed away, no matter how hard he scrubbed. He had been a mechanic for over 40 years, proud of bringing sputtering engines back to life and listening to that steady hum afterward. His neighbors still remember the sound of his booming laugh traveling across the driveway whenever he slammed the hood shut and said with satisfaction, "She'll run another 100,000 miles." That laugh, mixed with grit and determination, was his signature. Even after retirement, Harold lived by routine. His body clock was still tuned to his work years. He continued waking at 5 every morning, as if the shop bell might ring any second. But now, instead of engines waiting for him, there was only a small backyard garden full of tomatoes, peppers, and marigolds. He loved tending to it with the same dedication he once gave broken carburetors. What Thomas never thought much about was sleep. For years, he had convinced himself that 5 hours a night was more than enough. No naps, no complaints, no problem. If anyone asked, he would simply shrug and say, "I've done fine like this all my life." But behind that pride was a truth he couldn't see. Years of sleep deprivation were silently wearing his body down. One crisp autumn morning, while bending over to move a garden hose, Thomas's foot caught. The world tilted, and before he could steady himself, he crashed to the ground. A sharp crack rang through the yard. The pain was instant, searing, unmistakable. A broken hip. His daughter Lillian, who lived nearby, heard his cries and rushed over. Panic gripped her as she found him pale, gasping, crumpled on the ground. She dialed 911, and within minutes, Harold was in an ambulance on his way to the ER. As doctors worked on him, one of them turned to Lillian and asked something she didn't expect. "How has your father been sleeping?" At first, she was baffled. What could sleep possibly have to do with a broken hip? But as the doctors explained, she began to understand. Harold's fall wasn't just bad luck. It was a consequence of years of damage caused by too little sleep. Thomas had always treated rest as optional, a convenience at best. But science shows the opposite. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a biological necessity. For older adults, the healthy amount is 7 to 8 hours every night. Less than that, over time, chips away at the body's ability to function. During sleep, the brain organizes memories, muscles rebuild, the immune system recharges, and reflexes and balance are strengthened. Without enough of it, weakness builds silently until something breaks. The research is clear. A 2018 study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society revealed that older adults who sleep fewer than 6 hours a night are around 30% more likely to suffer fall-related injuries compared to those who get the recommended hours. It isn't just clumsiness, it's biology. Poor sleep dulls balance, slows reflexes, and weakens focus. For Thomas, that tangle hose wasn't just a small hazard. It was the tipping point after years of decline. And falls are just one danger. A 2020 meta-analysis in sleep medicine reviews compiled decades of findings and revealed hard truths. Seniors who regularly sleep under 7 hours face a 40% higher risk of cardiovascular disease, a 25% greater risk of memory issues, and higher odds of depression and anxiety. Even more concerning, consistent short sleep has been linked to premature death. Simply put, the less you sleep, the shorter your life may be. Yet many older adults treat short sleep like a badge of honor. Thomas certainly did. "I'm tougher than most, don't need much rest," he'd say. Friends admired it as resilience. But it's a dangerous myth, the idea that seniors naturally need less sleep. In reality, the need for deep rest never decreases. What changes is the ability to achieve it. With age, melatonin levels drop, circadian rhythms shift earlier, and things like chronic pain, medications, and lifestyle changes often fragment sleep. But the body still requires the same 7 to 8 hours. Thomas's story is a lesson. What he believed was strength was slowly eroding his health. 5 hours a night might have felt fine, but it robbed him of clarity, balance, and strength. That broken hip wasn't caused just by a garden hose. It was years of neglecting rest. Think of sleep like a house's foundation. You can paint the walls, replace the roof, decorate the rooms. But if the foundation cracks, the whole structure is at risk. Sleep is that foundation for seniors. It's when the body restores itself. The brain clears waste and emotions are processed. Without it, cracks spread quietly or suddenly, like in Thomas's case. The truth is undeniable. 7 to 8 hours of good sleep isn't a luxury. It's the fuel that keeps you steady, sharp, and alive. Harold's daughter Lillian learned this painfully. After his accident, she began tracking his rest, writing down how often he woke up, how he felt in the morning, and how little real sleep he was actually getting. What emerged was alarming. Harold wasn't just sleeping less. His sleep was fragmented and shallow, failing to restore his body. With his doctor's help, Lillian encouraged changes, consistent bedtimes, cutting late coffee, keeping his bedroom cool and dark. Slowly, Harold's nights improved, and so did his days. His story proves it's never too late to take sleep seriously. Every hour counts. Every habit matters. Prioritizing rest isn't laziness. It's investing in years of independence and vitality. So the next time you think a short night is just part of aging, remember Thomas, remember the sound of his hip breaking, the ambulance rushing down the street, and the quiet realization that 5 hours is not enough. Sleep is not wasted time. It's the most important work your body does while you're not awake. And if you care for someone you love, ask the same question Harold's doctor asked Lillian. How have they been sleeping lately? The answer might reveal more than you realize. It could prevent accidents, safeguard memory, protect the heart, and add precious years of life. Sleep well, live well. Thomas' journey proves it. Now, let's turn to Tessy Elliott, who also learned firsthand how sleep changes with age. At 79, she lived by a strict routine, waking at 6, brewing coffee in her cozy kitchen, and opening the curtains to let sunlight spill across her lace tablecloth. Tessy was known as the kind of woman who baked pies from scratch, never forgot a birthday, and made everyone feel at home when they visited. Her sharp mind was legendary. A retired teacher, she could recall former students from 30 years ago, retell classroom stories, and even remember what books they had loved. Her daughter Nancy often said, "Mom remembers everything." And usually she did. If you're still here watching this lesson, drop a 1 in the comments to let me know you're with me. That's why the changes Tessy noticed unsettled her. She was doing everything right. Go to bed at 10, waking at 6, a full 8 hours. No late coffee, no smoking, regular walks and gardening. Yet her mornings grew foggy. She'd sit with her crossword, staring blankly at words that once came easily. At first, she brushed it off as aging. Sarah reassured her. Everyone forgets sometimes. But Tessy sensed this was more. She felt fatigue, irritability, and a sense that she was no longer herself. The reality was this: not all sleep is equal. Tessy was spending 8 hours in bed, but not getting the deep, restorative stages her body needed. Particularly slow-wave sleep, the deep stage where the brain and body repair. Slow-wave sleep is when the brain strengthens memory, processes emotions, and builds neural connections. The body also heals, builds bone and muscle, and boosts immunity. But by the 70s, Slow-wave sleep often declines by 40% compared to younger years. This drop isn't just inconvenient. It carries real consequences. Tessy began to notice them. Her once sharp memory faltered. She misplaced glasses, forgot names, and lost her train of thought mid-sentence. Her mood shifted. She was more irritable and tired. Despite her 8 hours, she woke up drained, not renewed. Research explains why. Studies confirm that poor quality of sleep, even with the right quantity, raises risk of dementia, diabetes, hypertension, and depression. A 2019 study in Nature Communications found that older adults with fragmented, shallow sleep are more likely to face cognitive decline, even if they spend enough time in bed. It's not just the number of hours, it's the depth. Tessy's nights told the story. She tossed, turned, woke from vivid dreams, shifted for joint pain, and sometimes lay awake for hours. These interruptions robbed her of slow-wave sleep. Her body and brain never fully recharged. To make things worse, everyday habits interfered. She often fell asleep with the TV on, the flickering blue light suppressing melatonin, the hormone that signals sleep. Even faint light can keep the brain alert. She also kept her bedroom too warm, believing cozy meant better sleep. But science shows we sleep best at around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Her room, closer to 72 to 73, kept her restless, and her bedtime varied slightly. Sometimes 9:30, sometimes 11. Those small differences confused her circadian rhythm. The body runs on an inner clock that determines when we feel tired and when we feel alert. Without steady signals, Tessy's system couldn't fall into the deep cycles of sleep it needed. Once she learned this, she decided to try a few changes. The first step was shutting off the TV an hour before bedtime. In its place, she chose gentler activities, reading a lighthearted book or listening to calming music. She also dimmed the lights throughout her house in the evening, imitating the natural shift from daylight to night. It was a simple shift, but it gave her brain the message that sleep was coming soon. Tessy also invested in blackout curtains to block the glow from nearby street lamps and placed a small fan beside her bed to keep the temperature cool and steady. For the first time in years, her bedroom felt like a true retreat for rest, quiet, dark, and comfortable. She added gentle stretches and short meditation before bed. At first, it felt a little awkward to sit quietly with her eyes closed, breathing deeply. But within days, she noticed her body relaxing more easily and her mind letting go of its restless racing. Falling asleep took less effort, and though she still woke up occasionally, her nights became smoother and her mornings brighter. Over time, the morning haze lifted. Her memory improved, her patience returned, and her familiar warm smile came back. The transformation didn't happen instantly, but each small change added up. Tessy experience highlights a truth many older adults miss. Sleep is not just about how long you're in bed. It's about the quality of that rest. You could spend 8 or even 9 hours lying down, but if the sleep is broken, shallow, or constantly interrupted, you'll wake up drained, and your health will eventually feel the effects. The good news is sleep quality can be improved. Simple adjustments, like turning off electronics early, keeping the bedroom cool and dark, and going to bed on a consistent schedule, can make a major difference. White noise machines can soften disruptive sounds, and warm low lighting in the evening can help the brain understand that night is approaching. These changes aren't complicated or expensive. They're practical, achievable, and highly effective. For seniors like Tessy, who often take pride in being tough and disciplined, it's important to remember that prioritizing good sleep isn't weakness. It's wisdom. By respecting the body's need for restorative rest, we guard memory, protect the heart, and restore the energy needed to fully enjoy life. So next time you think, I was in bed for 8 hours, that should be enough, think of Tessy. Remember the morning she sat frustrated over a crossword puzzle, unable to think clearly, and then recall how a few small changes, shutting off the TV, lowering the room temperature, stretching before bed, brought her clarity back. Hours in bed matter, but without depth and quality, they may leave you just as tired as before. Sleep is not just closing your eyes. It is the body's most important work happening while you're not awake. And when you give yourself true, restorative sleep, you give yourself a chance to stay sharp, energetic, and alive. Gregory had always been a man who never stopped moving. For over 3 decades, he walked the streets as a postman, through rain, snow, and heat, always with the same steady pace. The families along his route would wave when they saw him coming. Mailbag on his shoulder, cap tilted against the wind. He knew the names of everyone on his route, remembered which dog barked at him each morning, and which children eagerly waited at the door for the mail. By retirement, Gregory's legs had carried him thousands of miles. At 83, his pace was slower and more cautious, but the spirit of endurance still lingered in him. Retirement brought a new rhythm, time in his recliner, afternoons gazing out the window, and visits from his daughter, Emma. But gradually, a new habit crept in: naps. At first, they seemed harmless. A quick doze in the recliner after morning tea, or lying down after lunch. Sometimes another nap in the early evening, well before bed. A nap here or there didn't seem like much, but soon Gregory was dozing off for long stretches, sometimes up to 2 hours, 3 times a day. Emma noticed. "Dad, you're sleeping half the day away," she told him gently. Gregory dismissed her worries. "I don't sleep well at night, so I catch up during the day. Rest is rest, isn't it?" What he didn't realize was that those naps weren't restoring him. They were stealing from his rest. If you're still with me, comment 1 below to let me know you're following along. At first, the changes in Gregory were small. Forgetting a dentist appointment, blanking on a neighbor's name, misplacing his glasses. Lisa chalked it up to normal aging. But the lapses became more frequent. Misplaced keys multiple times in 1 week, even forgetting to lock the front door at night. His once lively conversations grew scattered, as though his mind was always reaching through fog. The truth was Gregory's long. Frequent naps were disrupting his sleep at night. Sleep follows a pattern, moving through light sleep, deep slow-wave sleep, and REM cycles. These stages are essential for memory, learning, and physical recovery. But when older adults nap too long, especially beyond 90 minutes, they drift into deep sleep during the day. By nighttime, the body has already used up part of its sleep drive, making it harder to fall or stay asleep. This sets up a cycle. Poor nighttime rest causes daytime fatigue. Fatigue leads to more napping, and napping makes nighttime rest worse. Over time, energy, clarity, and vitality decline. Science confirms this. A 2020 study in Alzheimer's and dementia showed that seniors who nap for more than an hour each day face up to a 50% greater risk of cognitive decline. These aren't small lapses in memory. They're early signs of more serious changes in brain health. Gregory thought he was giving his body what it needed, but his naps were disrupting his circadian rhythm, the body's natural sleep-wake cycle. Without a consistent rhythm, his memory and alertness began to unravel. Lisa saw the pattern. Calls in the afternoon would go unanswered because Gregory was asleep again. Evening visits found him groggy and unfocused. She worried not just about his memory, but his safety. What if he left the stove on? What if he wandered outside in confusion? When she raised these concerns to his doctor, the response surprised her. Excessive daytime sleepiness isn't always just habit. It can be a sign of something deeper. As many as 30% of older adults suffer from sleep apnea, a disorder where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during the night. These interruptions keep the body from reaching restorative sleep, leaving the person exhausted during the day. Gregory underwent a sleep study, which revealed mild obstructive sleep apnea. Each night, his rest was shattered by repeated drops in oxygen. His body was fighting to breathe when it should have been recharging. No wonder he was so tired in the day. The treatment was straightforward but life-changing. He was prescribed a CPAP machine to keep his airway open at night. His doctor also advised new nap rules: no more than 1 short nap of 20 to 30 minutes, and never after 3 p.m. At first, George missed his long, cozy naps, but within weeks he noticed real changes. He woke up in the mornings more alert. His memory lapses decreased. The fog began to clear. Lisa saw the difference, and her relief was evident. The lesson Gregory learned is one many seniors need to hear. Naps aren't bad, but they must be used wisely. A short nap in the early afternoon can boost alertness, mood, and memory. But long naps or naps too late in the day throw off sleep's natural structure and cause more harm than good. For older adults who feel constantly tired, The key is asking whether the fatigue is just habit or a hidden condition like sleep apnea. The answer can be the difference between decline and renewed vitality. George's story shows that sleep isn't just about the number of hours. It's about rhythm, timing, and quality. He eventually saw naps as tools, not escapes. A short nap at the right time refreshed him without stealing from the night. His nights grew deeper, his days clearer, his memory sharper. For anyone over 70, the message is simple. Listen to your body, but guide it with wisdom. If naps stretch on for hours, day after day, ask what's happening at night. That question could be the key to reclaiming energy, memory, and peace. Each evening after supper, once the dishes were washed and put away, Nora would sit down with a glass of water and her pill box. She never missed a dose, never forgot, and never questioned why. Her cardiologist had given her a beta blocker after a small heart scare. Later, her primary care doctor added a diuretic for blood pressure. And years before, after her husband's death, she had been prescribed a low-dose antidepressant, which she still took. To Nora, these medications were lifelines, small reassurances that she could continue without the constant fear of illness. But then, her nights began to change. Suddenly, she would wake with her heart pounding, her sheets damp with sweat. She sat up in bed, chest tight, breathing fast, struggling to calm herself. Sometimes it took an hour or more to drift back into sleep. On other nights, she made trip after trip to the bathroom. 3, sometimes 4 times before morning. The constant interruptions left her exhausted. By dawn, she felt dizzy, anxious, and foggy-headed, her patience worn thin. At first, she told herself it was just part of aging. Getting older means you don't sleep well, she reassured her daughter over the phone. But deep inside, she wondered, why now? She had always been a good sleeper, even during the grief of losing her husband. The real cause was hidden in the very pills she relied on. Many people don't realize just how strongly medications can influence sleep, especially in older adults. A 2023 study in the gerontologist found that over 60% of seniors take at least one drug that can interfere with rest. For Nora, it was a perfect storm. Her beta blocker, while protecting her heart, also lowered her melatonin levels, the hormone that regulates the sleep-wake cycle. With less melatonin, it became harder to fall and stay asleep. The diuretic kept her blood pressure steady, but caused frequent nighttime urination, pulling her from sleep again and again. And the antidepressant, though once helpful, disrupted her REM cycles, the stage of sleep vital for memory, mood balance, and mental clarity. So the very routine she followed so faithfully was sabotaging her rest. The consequences went far beyond fatigue. Broken sleep heightened her anxiety, worsened her morning dizziness, and clouded her focus, raising her risk of falls, something her doctor had warned to be dangerous at her age. Without REM and deep sleep, her memory weakened, and her emotional stability wavered. When Nora finally confided in her doctor, she expected him to dismiss her concerns. Instead, he nodded, "You're not imagining this. These medications can absolutely disturb sleep." But he also reassured her the solution wasn't to stop treatment, but to adjust it. He suggested moving her beta blocker to morning, so it wouldn't block melatonin at night. The diuretic, too, could be taken earlier in the day, reducing bathroom trips after bedtime. As for the antidepressant, he reviewed whether she still needed it or if a gentler alternative might work better. These small changes brought big results. Within days, Betty was waking less often. The morning dizziness began to ease. Her anxious nights calmed. After a few weeks, she was falling asleep more easily, staying asleep longer, and waking feeling truly refreshed. These small changes brought big results. Within days, Betty was waking less often. The morning dizziness began to ease. Her anxious nights calmed. After a few weeks, she was falling asleep more easily, staying asleep longer, and waking feeling truly refreshed. Her story is a reminder. While medications can save lives, they also come with trade-offs. And for seniors, whose bodies process drugs differently with age, side effects, especially on sleep, can ripple through every aspect of health. Poor sleep raises risks of heart disease, weakens immunity, impairs memory, worsens depression, and lowers overall quality of life. That's why patients and caregivers need to ask, could my medication be affecting my sleep? Is there a better time of day to take it? Are there safer alternatives? Pharmacists, too, can help by reviewing drug interactions and pointing out hidden sleep disruptors. Sometimes the fix is as simple as timing. Other times, switching to another option can restore balance. For example, newer beta blockers affect melatonin less, and some blood pressure medications don't cause as much nighttime urination. Antidepressants, too, vary in their sleep effects. Choosing carefully can make a difference. Nora's relief didn't come from giving up treatment, but from tailoring it. By speaking up and working with her doctor, she reclaimed her nights. Now, her pill box still sits neatly on the table, but the evening compartments no longer rob her of rest. She turns out the light with calm instead of dread, knowing she won't wake in a panic or rush to the bathroom repeatedly. Her mornings feel brighter, steadier, and more hopeful. The lesson is clear. Poor sleep should never be accepted as inevitable. Restless nights aren't always a natural part of aging. They may be the result of treatment side effects. And with the right guidance, those side effects can often be managed. Together, these stories show that sleep troubles in older age are not random. They are signals, warnings that something is out of balance. Whether it's too little sleep, shallow rest, poor timing, excess napping, or drug side effects, each signal offers an opportunity for change. So how do we restore sleep as the foundation of health? By following a few principles. Treat 7 to 8 hours as non-negotiable. Guard quality with a cool, dark, quiet bedroom and a calming bedtime routine. Nap wisely, just 20 to 30 minutes, and before mid-afternoon. Align with natural light. Morning sunlight, dim evenings, no late screens. Review medications regularly with your doctor or pharmacist. Individually, these steps may seem small. Together, they rebuild the foundation for brighter mornings and stronger days. Sleep is not wasted time. It is the body's repair shop, the brain's renewal, the spirit's strength. Without it, life becomes heavy. With it, clarity, balance, and joy return. So, tonight, reflect. Do you feel rested when you wake? Are your medications disrupting your nights? Do you nap too long? Awareness is a first step. Then act. Adjust routines, honor your body's rhythm, and speak with your doctor. We cannot stop the years from passing, but we can give our bodies what they need. Sleep is not just rest, it is resilience. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned and how you'll apply in your life. Your comment inspires us to keep going. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to Elderly Health Tips and share. Your support makes it possible for us to continue creating content that informs and uplifts. We appreciate you watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.